also, it'd be nice if you could read the numbers at the bottom of that thing to know if you were going this way or if you were going down.
Check. Test.
Good evening. We're going to start in just a minute here. Again, as a reminder, if you wish to speak at tonight's meeting to address the board, you do need to fill out one of these forms. They're on the table out in front when you came in. Fill out the form and you can get that to Mandy right here up front. She can get it up to us. And we're going to start, I guess, now. So if you need to get a form, get it to her in the next 60 seconds and we'll make sure we get you an opportunity to speak. Thank you. Okay, we're going to call our meeting to order. First thing on the meeting is the public comments section. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation business. The meeting is not to be considered a public community meeting. A handout of the agenda items about to be presented to the board were available at the check-in sign-in table for patrons to review. A registration form was provided at the sign-in table for patrons desiring the opportunity to speak at the beginning of the meeting on any agenda item or any item or agenda item. Sorry. Registration is required if you desire to speak. So if anyone hasn't turned in the registration form, please do so at this time. The board has established guidelines, rules and guidelines to guide the presiding officer. The rules were outlined on the registration form and will be followed. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer, that's me, and must preface their comments by announcing their name, address, and the organization represented if applicable. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration or as determined by the presiding officer. The presiding officer may limit the total time allotment for comments. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. The board is willing to hear public comments at this meeting. The board will listen but may not respond to questions or inquiries. No person may speak or discuss at any meeting of the Board of Education any charges or complaints against employees of the school district without first presenting those charges or complaints to the Board of Education through the superintendent in writing, signed, and verified by the person or group making such a change or complaint. If the complainant is about the superintendent, it shall be forwarded to the president of the Board of Education. That's me, Joe Hufford. The presiding officer may terminate any person's privilege of address for persistent violations of rules or conduct and declare that the person out of order for the above violation of rules. The presiding officer will now call upon those registered for the general comments. The board will pause at each agenda group to take comments on those agenda items. So, is there any other forms? Okay, so I got 4 folks who have asked to speak this evening. So I'm going to start with, and these are, everyone has checked public comments, so these will all happen now at the beginning of the meeting. So my first form is from Chris Gerardo. I hope I pronounced that correct.
Did you need my name and address?
Yes.
Okay. Name is Chris Fajardo. Address is 5733 South US 421, Rossville, Indiana.
Thank you.
Ready to start?
Yep.
All right. So our names are Chris and Laura Waharda. We are the parents of the student who was involved in the incident that occurred back in September of last year. I know many of you have been frustrated with the lack of transparency surrounding this incident, as are we. We do not have all of the information because much of it has not been shared with us either. But we can share with you what we do know. I'm sure some of you may be asking why we did not come forward sooner. The answer to this is simple. We were trying to put this event behind us and move on with our lives. However, in light of recent news articles, we felt strongly that we can no longer remain silent. We are not here to ask you to pick sides. All we ask is for you to listen to what we have to say and take it into consideration before you decide whether or not you want Terry Thompson working at this school. Most everyone here is aware an incident occurred where a student was restrained. However, what many of you do not know is the reason why the Department of Child Services and the Indiana State Police became involved. There is also speculation regarding why school principal Terry Thompson was the center of these investigations and not the other staff members who were involved. We can offer some clarification into these concerns. In the days following the incident, we were contacted by both the Department of Child Services and the Indiana State Police. DCS advised that they had received a tip from an individual at this school. The tip reported that a witness had observed school principal Terry Thompson place our son into a chokehold after our son had already been secured into handcuffs. DCS requested to interview our son to gather his statement. The Indiana police detectives advised that they were also investigating this report and their job was to determine if criminal charges were warranted against Terry Thompson. During these interviews, our son stated that he could not see the person who had choked him because this individual was behind him. But he believed it was Terry Thompson for two reasons. The clothing visible on the arm of the person who choked him, the cologne the individual was wearing. Our son informed detectives that Terry Thompson primarily wears both distinctive clothing consisting of suits and dress shirts and a unique cologne, and this is how he identified who the person was who was choking him. Our son described how Terry wrapped an arm around his neck, proceeded to tighten his grip, which made it difficult to breathe and was very painful. My wife will finish reading our statement now.
My name is Laura Wahardo, and I also reside at 5733 South US Highway 421. And I can start. The Indiana State Police detectives informed us that they had forwarded their findings to the prosecutor for review. The prosecutor chose not to pursue criminal charges. However, according to the WLFI article, the Clinton County prosecutor noted that Thompson's conduct likely exceeded what was appropriate and necessary for this situation. All of you here can interpret the prosecutor's comment for yourselves. In our opinion, the prosecutor's comment suggests that Terry Thompson is not completely innocent. Honestly, after we read this comment, we were surprised that Terry Thompson had been allowed to return to work at all. Terry Thompson would have you believe that he acted as some sort of hero that day, and this school board administration are depriving him of his right to due process. Our understanding is that Terry Thompson was given a choice between allowing due process to play out or voluntarily resign at the end of the school year. Faced with this decision, Terry Thompson chose to resign at the end of the school year. Perhaps he can explain why he felt more comfortable resigning than he did allowing due process to run its course. We are not claiming our son was completely innocent that day because he wasn't, but our son was held accountable for his actions and faced consequences for his behavior. Based on eyewitness reports and the interviews we observed, we firmly believe this man choked our son. In our opinion, his actions are unforgivable, and it is very disappointing that he has not been held accountable. If my son had not been involved in this incident, but I learned a witness reported Terry Thompson had choked a handcuffed student and saw the prosecutor's comment that Thompson's conduct likely exceeded what was appropriate and necessary for the situation, I would expect the school board to terminate his employment immediately rather than wait until the end of the school year. We hope the school board and the citizens of this community take this information into consideration before deciding whether or not you want this man to continue working for the Rossville School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I've got Jackie Fauci. Fauci. I'm sorry.
Okay, get it right.
I'm not that tall, folks. All right, I'm Jackie Fauci on East South Street here in Roxville. I've been here every month for 7 months. It's been 7 months since the incident with my son. 7 months of attempting solutions. I've provided a plethora of education, and I still feel as though I've gotten nowhere. There has been one policy change and some education for the staff interacting with my son, and while that's appreciated, those were things that were actually required before the incident happened. It's been 1 month since the board president apologized for no follow-up, but I've still received no follow-up. So let's go back to some numbers. There are 4 areas of 848 IAC2 that were violated, and one of those includes disregarding the patient's right to dignity, falsifying, omitting, or destroying documentation. 7 ethics codes violations ranging from the National Association of School Nurses to the ISBA. 2 FERPA violations, 3 conflicting staff statements, and 1 missing witness statement. Countless RCSD policies and job description violations. Ongoing issues with hostile environment and ongoing bullying by the staff member that I've repeatedly come to this body about for my son. I have now made 2 calls to the Professional Licensing Agency and Attorney General and have opened complaints for 2 professional boards. 1 FERPA complaint, 1 complaint to the Office of Civil Rights, and retained 1 attorney as of tomorrow morning. I don't know what else to do. I have gone over and over trying to be a part of a solution. I'm getting nowhere. I have followed the appropriate channels. I have come to this body since October, and no one will listen. So I'm going to squeak louder because this is my child, and if it was any of yours, I've had 4 staff members approach me to say that nothing could have happened, but I've handed you guys documentation. Some of you have actual copies of it on this board. You know what happened. All I have asked for since October was help actually investigating, do an actual investigation, follow through. Let's do some solutions. That has not happened. And it's not just my child at risk, but it's other children at risk. There are kids that can't speak. So I'm going to do what I need to do at this point. I find it horrendous that when we bring things to the board at this point, we're getting responses saying contact the attorney. And I don't know what else to tell you guys other than now you can contact mine. Like, I just want these fixed.
Thank you. Kim Prather.
Good evening, my name is Kim Prather, and I live in the Rossville School District. You've heard from me before, but today I wanted to perhaps help you understand where I personally am coming from and why I'm even here. I grew up in Clinton County, then lived away for 16 years. My husband and I moved our family back to Indiana in 2016. Until 2018, we solely homeschooled our children. Then as our older ones reached high school, we began looking for alternatives. Due to their unique needs, we chose the crossing for our oldest 2 sons. Then in 2021, we enrolled our now 3rd grader in kindergarten at Rossville, with the rest following him that fall. We specifically moved into this district because we knew the education they would receive. I'd also met with Mr. Dennison and Mr. Thompson, and I was confident that my children would be safe here. We currently have 6 children in Rossville, ranging from pre-K through 10th. We have 1 more preschooler that will join later, but for now, she pretty much hates people and prefers to be at home. Our children range from having recently had 2 that attended the honor ceremony to 2 needing different levels of IEPs. We did pull out our oldest daughter, now a junior, due to bullying. If I had known then what I know now, I would have told her to bypass the former administrator that she had gone to and instead spoken directly to Mr. Thompson. My concerns were always taken seriously and dealt with when I spoke to Mr. Thompson. We are not legacy members of the Rossville community, but that does not change our love or commitment. Now, why am I telling you this? My hope is to communicate to you that I'm committed to my children and to this school. I will be around until my youngest 2 graduate, which won't be until 2038. At that time, I'm guessing that most of you will have decided to pass the torch to the next person willing to serve, and that it's likely the current administration will look completely different. A lot can happen in 14 years. Please do not leave us with 2 new administrators this fall. You have the ability to not vote for Mr. Thompson's resignation. You represent by election or appointment those in the school district. I have a petition signed with names of over 250 people in the community that want Mr. Thompson to stay. This represents more than 2/3 of the families in the middle and senior high school. Many families I've spoken to are very concerned and are looking at alternatives if Mr. Thompson is forced to leave.
Thank you.
First on the agenda is approval of minutes, consideration claims and payroll. Regular meeting on March the 5th, 2024, and you had an executive session on the 16th of March. Board members received the claim docket, payroll claims, and minutes in advance of the meeting. Fund and bank reports were also supplied for their review. Board members asked to contact me if they had individual items or questions, and I'll bring that to you for consideration at this time.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes, claims, and payrolls as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous items, consideration of athletic camps. Mr. Burke was recommending the following athletic camps will occur on campus. Wrestling camp from June 10th through the 13th from 9 to 3. Boys basketball camp from May 24th or 28th to the 31st from 9 a.m. till noon. And girls basketball camp from April 29th to May 2nd from 3 to 5. Also, considering a donation from Mr. and Mrs. Eller, donated $1,000 to the FFA chapter, $500 is going to the Jeff Eller Memorial Scholarship, and $500 for regular expenses. Recommending approve those donations and recommending approving the miscellaneous items.
I move we approve the miscellaneous items as presented.
It's been properly approved and seconded to approve the miscellaneous items as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Personnel items, consideration of termination. Sarah Staggs, who was an at-will employee, was terminated as the district employee on March 7, 2024. Other personnel items, consideration of a pay rate. Recommending a change in Mr. Kent McElrath's daily pay rate to $96 per day, which is the same rate as the other district drivers. Due to students' IEPs, changes in road closures, Mr. McElrath has picked up more time on the route. He's currently transporting students in the morning and afternoon and also as midday. Requesting permission for the remainder of the school year to decrease his pay if student circumstances changes. Another personnel items, appointments, recommending Kayla Staggs as a substitute teacher for Rossville Middle Senior High School, and Mr. Todd Dillingham is recommending Lisa Chase Babcock for an open second shift custodial position. Ms. Chase Babcock's experience afforded her to start as a Tier 1 employee as outlined in the handbook for classified employees for custodians. Recommends a retroactive approval for her beginning April the 1st. And Mr. Burke was recommending the following coaching additions for spring sports: volleyball, off-season workouts, Lexi Robertson, JV head coach, and varsity assistant. And also appointments through case conference committee decision as required, requiring a one-to-one instructional assistant for a 5th grade student for the remainder of the 2023-24 school year and for the 24-25 school year. Mr. Dennison's recommending Daniel Adrian as a Tier 2 one-to-one instructional assistant for this student. She began her duties today and will continue her duties through case conference committee deems that this support is no longer needed. She'll be compensated per the handbook for classified staff instructional assistants. Consideration of Indiana Literacy Cadre Cohort. Mr. Dennison has advised that Rossville Elementary School has accepted admittance into the Indiana Literacy Cadre Cohort 3 group. This will assist Rossville Elementary schools in becoming a science and reading school K through 3, and a Lilly grant supports this cadre over the next several years. Mr. Dennis recommending creating a literacy coach position who will work closely with the cadre and K through 3 grade teachers over the next 2 years. Coach would be partially funded by the grant. And consideration of job description. So this is for the job description for the certified cadre coach position, which collaborate with educators in grades K through 3 to expand educators' knowledge of science and reading research, implement professional development on instructional practices aligned with science and reading, assist in instructional planning with individuals and group teachers, conduct mini and full coaching cycles that target student outcomes, provide training on the use of formative assessment data to drive classroom instruction, and ensure student achievement and growth data routinely collected, reported, and used to drive instruction decisions at the school and at the classroom level. I'll bring those personnel items to you this evening.
I move we approve the personnel items as presented.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the personnel items as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Next one is acknowledgement of retirement. Mr. Terry Thompson submitted his retirement notice on November 2nd, 2023. Under Indiana law, once a public employee submits their resignation to the board's designee representative, the employee is not permitted to withdraw, rescind, or annul or amend the resignation without consent of the board. Even if the employee attempts to make the resignation effective based on certain condition happening, such preconditions are void as a matter of law. It's found under Indiana Code 5-8-4-1. It's no right to withdraw without consent, and Indiana Code 5-8-4-2, conditions null and void. Bring that to you this evening.
I move that we acknowledge Mr. Thompson's retirement as presented, direct Dr. Hannah to place Mr. Thompson on administrative leave for the remainder of the terms of his contract.
Come on!
Order, please.
I second the motion.
This is
Hold on
ridiculous.
with the motion. And authorize Dr. Hannah to contract with a service provider to assist with the school's administrative operation. Do I have a second?
Unbelievable.
Do I have a second? It's been properly moved and seconded to approve this personnel item. Folks, I need order. This is our meeting.
We need a principal. Who's giving them their diplomas?
Is there any discussion? From my perspective, I support placing Mr. Thompson on paid administrative leave effective immediately through June 30th, 2024. I feel the issue involving Mr. Thompson has divided the school and the community at large.
It won't go away. Divided the school.
And has become a huge distraction from our primary mission, which is to provide educational instruction to the children of Rossville. I'd like to see the district return to our focus on primary mission, which is to educate our students.
We're gonna need more for that. This board is done.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
No!
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Thank you for taking away our only advocate.
With that, we are adjourned. Our next board meeting is June 4th. Thank you.
We'll be here.
You guys had a student asking a question.
Okay,
There's a statement from the board that is printed on paper out in the lobby if you'd like to read that. Thank you.
okay, now that they're taking away our principal, who's going to be our advocate?
Who's gonna be the administrator in the building? There's no administrator in the building.